Yes. Good afternoon once again. So now I'm going to explain about second experiment under volumetric analysis. And the aim of this experiment is to determine percentage of calcium oxide in cement using standard disodium salt of EDTA solution. Okay, so this experiment is almost similar to your first experiment. Even procedure also almost similar to your first experiment. Only we are going to discuss about okay. So in this experiment, we are going to estimate percentage of calcium oxide in cement using standard disodium salt of EDTA solution. So I hope you understood standard disodium salt of EDTA solution. If it is used as a standard solution means the principle involved here is complexometric titration. So through complexometric titration, we can estimate percentage of calcium oxide in cement. Now, what is this cement? Why we need to calculate percentage of calcium oxide in cement? So cement, it is the basic material which is used in construction of buildings. So it is a lime-based material. So lime-based material means it is made up of limestone, and by a calcination process, the limestone decomposes to calcium oxide. Okay, so cement is a lime-based building material mainly used in the construction of buildings, and it is known for its good binding property. So what is the total composition of this cement? So cement is a lime-based material which consists of complex mixture of various metallic compounds. Okay, it is made up of complex mixture of various metallic compounds. The major metallic compounds present in cement are oxides. What are the various oxides present here? Calcium oxide, which ranges from 60 to 66%. Along with calcium oxide, it also consists of magnesium oxide, alumina, that is aluminium oxide, ferric oxide, potassium oxide, sodium oxide, and sulfur trioxides. So along with oxides, it also consists of silicates, SiO3, and silica. That is 25% of silica is also present in cement, which is nothing but sand. So what is the total composition of cement then? Various oxides, silicates, and silica. But cement majorly consists of oxides, in which the calcium oxide is present in high percentage. So what is the percentage range of calcium oxide? It is estimated to be 60 to 66%. So which indicates that calcium oxide is the major constant of cement, and the quality of cement is estimated in terms of percentage of calcium oxide. So that is the reason why in this experiment we are going to estimate percentage of calcium oxide in cement, which is estimated through complexometric titration. Okay, but we cannot estimate calcium oxide directly in cement. Okay, we need to prepare a cement solution, and in the preparation of cement solution, it is also necessary to remove some of the constituents which may interfere in the reaction. Okay, which may interfere in the reaction. So preparation of cement solution in laboratory. So this part of the procedure is not actually there for you, but this you must know, because in this preparation part, some of the constants are removed so that you can estimate only calcium oxide. This is why, because the principle involved here is complexometric titration, and disodium salt of EDTA can readily form complexes with many cations. But cement not only consists of calcium ions, it consists of various other cations, such as it can be magnesium ions, aluminium ions, ferric ions, potassium ions, sodium ions. So EDTA can readily form complex with all these cations, which may not allow you to estimate only calcium oxide. Therefore, in a pre-treatment process, a cement solution is prepared and some of the constituents are removed, which may otherwise involve in the complex formation. So how the cement solution is prepared? take a known weight of cement powder, that is W gram of cement powder is taken, and it is treated with concentrated HCl. Okay, a known weight of cement powder is taken and it is treated with concentrated HCl. In this step, silica is filtered off because silica remains undissolved. It is removed through filtration, and after filtration, the filtrate which is obtained is further treated with base, that is ammonium hydroxide, a weak base. When the filtrate is treated with ammonium hydroxide, some of the components or some of the constants present in cement gets precipitated as insoluble hydroxides. Okay, this insoluble hydroxides is once again removed through filtration, and after filtration we are going to get the final filtrate, and this final filtrate which is obtained consists of only calcium oxide and magnesium oxide, okay, which is not removed through filtration or which is not removed upon treating with concentrated HCl or upon treating with ammonium hydroxide, whereas rest of the reagents are removed. So in the first step, what we have removed, silica is removed, whereas the second step of the filtration, some of the other constants are removed in the form of hydroxide precipitate. So the final filtrate which is left, consisting of only calcium oxide and magnesium oxide, is diluted up to 1 liter by adding DI water. This gives you 1 liter of cement solution that consists of only calcium ions and magnesium ions. Okay, this is how do we actually prepare cement solution so that it is possible to estimate only calcium oxide accurately. Okay, if the other constants are not removed, then it is not possible to estimate only calcium oxide in cement. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Since cement consists of various cations in it, it is not only possible to estimate calcium oxide, therefore a cement solution must be prepared in laboratory. Okay, and how it is prepared? By taking a known weight of cement powder, which is first treated with concentrated HCl, and through filtration the silica is removed in the first step, and after filtration the filtrate which is obtained is treated with ammonium hydroxide. This ammonium hydroxide results in the formation of insoluble hydroxide precipitate, which is again removed through further filtration. Okay, once the filtration is done, the final filtrate which is left over, that consists of only calcium oxide and magnesium oxide. This filtrate is further diluted by adding DI water to get 1 liter of cement solution. Now this 1 liter of cement solution consists of calcium oxide and magnesium oxide, in which we have to estimate only the amount of calcium oxide present. Okay. So now I'll come to the main procedure or actual procedure of the experiment. So just similar to your first experiment, the first part of the procedure is preparation of standard solution of disodium salt of EDTA. So this part of the procedure I'm going to skip because it's been already discussed. Okay. And you know what is the role of this disodium salt of EDTA? It can help in the formation of complexes. Okay. And now I directly move to the estimation of calcium oxide, that is part B. So what should be taken in burette? Prepared disodium salt of EDTA solution. And what should be taken in conical flask? Of course, it is the test solution. So in this experiment, which is the test solution that is of unknown concentration? That is cement solution. So pipette out accurately 25 cc of cement solution. And this cement solution consists of what? Only calcium ions and magnesium ions in the form of oxides. To the cement solution, it is required to add some reagents. So what are the essential reagents required here? 5 cc of 4-normal NaOH. Okay, we add 5 cc of 4-normal sodium hydroxide. 4-normal stands for the strength of sodium hydroxide, that is 4-normality sodium hydroxide. And the sodium hydroxide is used as a masking agent, or what you can call it as blocking agent, which is required to block the unwanted ions. Now your cement solution consists of calcium ions and magnesium ions. So which is the unwanted ion present here? Magnesium ions. So if these magnesium ions are not blocked, these magnesium ions may also get complexed with this disodium salt of EDTA and may affect your result, because aim is to estimate only calcium oxide. So it is required to block this magnesium ions. To block this magnesium ions, we add sodium hydroxide. Okay. So when sodium hydroxide is added, the magnesium ions present in the solution gets precipitated as magnesium hydroxide, resulting in the turbidity of the solution. Okay, when you add sodium hydroxide into the cement solution, the cement solution turns to turbid solution. Turbidity indicates what? The magnesium ions are precipitated as magnesium hydroxide. A stable magnesium hydroxide is formed, and in that way it can be blocked. So that the magnesium ions are blocked by getting precipitated it as magnesium hydroxide with the help of sodium hydroxide. Okay, so what's the role of sodium hydroxide? It is used as a masking agent to mask magnesium ions. Followed by the addition of two more important reagents, that is 5 cc of glycerol and diethylamine mixture. Okay, we add 5 cc of glycerol and diethylamine mixture. Here glycerol is used to get sharp endpoint, and the sharp endpoint is required because of this turbidity. Okay, so because of this turbidity, some secondary reactions occurs. To avoid that secondary reactions, we add this glycerol, which further helps in getting sharp endpoint. So what is the role of glycerol? To get sharp endpoint. And diethylamine, actually, what is the condition to be maintained in complexometric titration? Of course, a specific pH range. So diethylamine is used as a strong basic buffer, okay, which is required to maintain constant pH in the range of 12 to 14. So diethylamine is used as a strong basic buffer, which can maintain constant pH in the range of 12 to 14. In this case, strong pH range is required, that is 12 to 14. So by adding diethylamine, the pH of the solution becomes 12.5. Okay, a constant pH of 12.5 is maintained by adding this diethylamine. Okay, so NaOH acts as a masking agent, glycerol helps in getting sharp endpoint, and diethylamine maintains a strong pH of 12.5. Okay, then indicator. So what is the name of the indicator used in calculating percentage of calcium oxide? We use pattern and Reedus indicator, which is also a metal ion indicator, because normally we use metal ion indicator in complexometric titration, because metal ion indicators are those indicators which also forms complexes with metal ions and indicates the presence of metal ions. Okay, and endpoint, it is just similar to your total hardness experiment, but it is not just wine red to clear blue, it is turbid wine red to clear blue. Okay, so the color of the solution in the conical flask in the beginning is turbid wine red, which at the end point turns to clear blue. Why it is turbid wine red? Because of the precipitation of magnesium ions as magnesium hydroxide. Okay, so the cement solution which is taken in a conical flask and the presence of NaOH, glycerol and diethylamine should be titrated against standard solution which is taken in the burette until the color changes from turbid wine red to clear blue. So this is the end point of the titration. So the end point is similar to your total hardness experiment, but in the case of total hardness, it was wine red to clear blue, but here the difference is turbid wine red to clear blue. Okay. So now, if it comes to indicators, so what type of indicator we use in cement experiment? A metal ion indicator, that is pattern and Reedus. Even in total hardness also we used metal ion indicator, that is Ereochrome black tea. But Ereochrome black tea indicator cannot be used in cement experiment. Okay, you just follow the note which is written here. This is why, because even though EBT is a metal ion indicator, okay, it cannot be used in the pH range of 12 to 14. That means it is connect ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, so this is why, because even though EBT is a metal ion indicator, it is not efficient if it is used in the pH range of 12 to 14. So if it is used in the pH range of 12 to 14, it forms a weak complex. Okay, the metal ion Ereochrome black tea complex which is formed is found to be very weak if it is used in the pH range of 12 to 14, which indicates that EBT is inefficient in the pH range of 12 to 14. Okay, that indicates Ereochrome black tea can effectively work in the pH range of 9 to 11. So only in total hardness we used Ereochrome black tea because the pH was in the range of 9 to 11. But here, what is the pH range? 12 to 14. Okay, that is the first point. And the second point is, in the case of total hardness, we are estimating both calcium and magnesium ions, which are responsible for hardness. Whereas in the case of cement experiment, we are estimating only calcium oxide, not magnesium oxide. So Erechrome black tea indicator is highly sensitive. Okay, the indicator is highly selective in their action. So Erechrome black tea is highly sensitive to both calcium and magnesium ions, which can readily form complex with both calcium and magnesium ions effectively. Whereas pattern and readers indicator is highly sensitive to calcium ions. Okay, they are highly sensitive in their action. Okay, so these two are the reasons, okay, for not using Erechrome black tea indicator in cement experiment, even though it is a metal ion indicator. Okay, so this is the procedural part. So procedure I'm not going to explain in detail, as it is almost similar to your total hardness experiment. Only the difference is the endpoint. So in the case of cement experiment, the endpoint is from turbid wine red to clear blue. Okay, and then calculation. So calculation, it is almost similar to your total hardness experiment. So find out what is molarity of EDTA. By knowing molarity of EDTA, find out what is molarity of cement solution. Okay. Okay. So by knowing molarity of EDTA, find out what is molarity of cement solution, because cement solution is the analyte solution whose concentration is unknown. So molarity of cement solution is equal to molarity of EDTA into volume of EDTA divided by volume of cement solution. So what is volume of EDTA? It is the burette reading. And volume of cement solution, of course, it is 25 Celsius, which is taken in every trial. Okay. And by knowing the molarity of cement solution, calculate what is the weight of calcium oxide. So you need to find out what is the weight of calcium oxide per liter of cement solution. So simple formula, molarity of cement solution into molecular weight of calcium oxide, that is 56. So by this calculation, you are going to get some A gram of calcium carbonate. Okay. And remember here, you no need to find out weight of calcium oxide in ppm. Okay, because total hardness, it is a water quality parameter which is generally expressed in terms of ppm. But calcium oxide is not a water quality parameter. It is it can only determine the quality of cement. Okay. Therefore, you no need to convert the weight of calcium oxide into ppm. Just find out the weight of calcium oxide per liter of cement solution, which gives you A value. Now, by using this A value, you have to calculate the percentage of calcium oxide by knowing the W value. What is W value indicates here? The W is the weight of cement which is taken in the preparation of cement solution. Corresponding to that W gram of cement taken, you have to find out what is the percentage of calcium oxide present per liter of cement solution. So weight of cement value will be given to you. Okay, since you are not preparing cement solution, the value of W will be given to you. You need to find out what is A value. A is nothing but the gram of calcium oxide present per liter of cement solution. W is the weight of cement used in the preparation of cement solution. Then using the formula, percentage of calcium oxide is equal to A into 100 divided by W. A is the weight of calcium oxide per liter of cement solution. W is the weight of cement which will be given to you. Then calculate and find out the percentage. Okay, so what is the approximate percentage of calcium oxide in cement? It should be in the range of 60 to 66%. Okay, this is how you can calculate the percentage of calcium oxide in cement. So with this, I have completed principle, procedure, and calculation of both total hardness and cement experiment. And I know some students asked that they have completed already 3 titrations. So as you know that your class is divided into 4 batches. E1A and E2A batches already started with titrations, and they have already completed 3 titrations. And E1B batch and E2 batches started with instrumentation, and I guess they have completed 2 to 3 instrumentations. Okay. Now the problem is, I don't know when the college is going to reopen, and soon after reopening of the college, you are supposed to perform the experiments. Okay. So only we are going to give explanation of all 10 experiments once again. Okay. So that those who have not done titration yet, okay, they can just follow the principle, procedure, and calculation. Those who have not started instrumentation yet, so they can try to understand the conduction part of the instrumentation and calculation part. Okay, so only I started with the titration, and once I complete all 5 titrations, then I'll start with instrumentation. Okay, so we'll have this chemistry practical session on every Thursday from 1:45 to 3:25, and in every session I'm going to complete 2 experiments. Okay, if any question, any doubts, you can ask me.